Hey, what's going on? So for this video, this is going to be my install of the Flyone Motorsports Type 3 carbon fiber duckbill spoiler. But this is just an install for the general duckbill spoiler. I bought mine in raw carbon fiber because I'm trying to keep the black and white look with my Z. So if you do order this product off of Flyone Motorsports, I highly recommend it. Yeah, here's the installation video. Yo, what is up, boys and girls? Alright, you know what it is. Out to the garage. Alright, it came. What came, you might be asking? Well, by the description, you probably already know. It's the Type 3 duckbill spoiler from Flyone Motorsports. I got mine in all carbon fiber because it looks pretty damn good. And I'm making an install video because I couldn't find a single damn one online. I checked the forums too, they just use pictures, so we're installing it, and it's going pretty good.
So far.
So far, yeah. But yeah, so it came wrapped in some foam packaging, it came wrapped in like a cloth, and then on top of that there was this this kind of like foam blanket stuff that it was just completely wrapped in. It doesn't come with a template because they recommend professional installation only. I couldn't find any videos on YouTube. I searched the forums, but there was no DIY step-by-step process, so I'm just going to tell you what I did. Well, at first I figured I'd make a stencil of the mounting surface right here. So what I did was I took tape and I layered it, and then I cut along the edges of the tape so I had a template. I also measured the rear end of my car here and the rear end up there and applied some tape, measured the center, and marked it so I knew roughly where I needed to. Also, I used the curvature here where the light goes. I just kind of eyeballed it on either side. So I applied the stencil to the car, and the issue was that the tape kept sticking on itself. You could probably make a better stencil out of something other than tape. I have no idea. Maybe paper, whatever. It worked for the most part. I think I got that hole and that hole pretty dead on with the stencil, but these ones were the ones I was unsure about. So what we ended up doing was I just took some toothpaste and squirted it in the holes, and that seemed to work the best. I'll show you right here. I also tried using paint pen like around the holes, getting it real thick, and then pushing the spoiler against the car, but it didn't work because it's not exactly like a perfect fit. It kind of sticks to your car once you tighten the bolts down, and it's forced to be pulled to the vehicle. So yeah, honestly the toothpaste trick worked. I've seen that on a couple YouTube videos where people do DIY installations for spoilers. So once I had the toothpaste in there, me and my roommate Carlos, we lined it up on the car, stuck it and held it for a second, and we pulled it off, and that gave us a rough area of where to drill. It wasn't perfect by any means. There was just a blob here, and so on and so forth. But once that was done, we just drilled the 4 holes. It's got 4 bolts, that's it. The 4 holes that mount it. And then the fun began. You are going to need a drill and probably a buddy. I got my roommate Carlos here. Let me just update you. I wasn't recording initially. First thing you're going to have to do is open the trunk and pop off this plastic piece. It's just 2 10mm bolts which you unscrew, and then it's just a bunch of push pins. So here's the panel. Just a lot of push pins, so I recommend getting some panel pliers. And then just gonna want to pop these open. I'm gonna show you where the bolts are. Next, for the rears here, you can see I already have the holes drilled out. When I put it on the car, it's centered, but this hole and this hole are off. They were off on the spoiler itself, so it's going to fit and it should be centered. Just be cautious about that.
Measure that on the spoiler, so I guess we'll see how it fits on there.
After that, after we got our holes all marked out, I just went to Home Depot, bought a brand new drill, and what I did to start the holes was I just took a screwdriver and a hammer and I just smashed on it to kind of give us something to grip with the drill bit. and then I just took the drill to it. I started with a small hole and sized up eventually, and the biggest drill bit I had was the one that fit. Just so you're aware, at first I wasn't able to find the bolts, so I actually called the manufacturer and I was able to talk to a representative to find the bolt pattern. He said I could pick them up at any Home Depot. The size is 1/4 by 20 and 3/4 inches long. And instead of that, I got 1/4 by 20, and I think my roommate got 1/2 inch long studs, and then he just got some nuts that fit on it. That's what I did. If you open it up here, I don't have a spoiler initially, but these holes lined up pretty spot on. However, this hole and the one on the other side didn't, so we have a Dremel. We're just going to cut this section out. There's actually another layer in here. It's not just 2 layers, it's 3. So we're going to cut this out and then see how it looks.
Actually, this thing's fogged up on me. I just knock it out.
Hot!
Get a light on it.
We gotta cut farther. I said we need to cut farther because even though we cut where the hole was, there was no way you're gonna get a wrench in there to even be able to tighten it down, let alone cut another hole, which is what I ended up doing, in order to cut the second layer, because the bumpers has 3 layers: the top layer, which is the out, the inner, and then the inside of the hatch. I wasn't going to be able to cut the inner layer to be able to get a wrench up in there, so that's why I had to expand my holes bigger, which is kind of why I recommend getting a circular drill bit, so you can just drill through the inner and middle layer. So just for the record, when I say you're going to have big holes in the back of your trunk hatch, the thing I mean is, hold on. When I say big holes, I mean this is what I have exposed. So this is the plastic piece right here, and I have this much that I cut exposed. It's about equal on each side, and that's just due to the nature of having to cut this inner second layer in order to be able to get a wrench in there to install the spoiler itself. It's back here.
Where is it at?
Back there.
I mean, oh, we gotta get the screw in there.
Yeah, but how are we gonna tie with the wrench?
You're right.
Shit's hot.
How's that look? Look at that hole.
Problem was that their Dremel was basically, it was like, if this is the metal we're cutting, the Dremel was only slightly at an angle with the metal that we were cutting, so we weren't able to like get a nice 90-degree angle and able to cut it. And this is the day prior. The next day I just cut the hole bigger, which I didn't film, and then I was able to get a better angle on the metal and then smash it out with a hammer. So my driver's side hatch hole, inner hole as you'd call it, isn't as nice as the passenger side, which is, for the passenger side we just drilled a bunch of holes and then we just took the Dremel and connected all the holes, and then I took a pair of pliers and bent the metal back to kind of widen it, and then I took the Dremel with a sanding bit and then I sanded it all smooth so it wouldn't cut us or whatever. That's the only thing you need for this install. It's pretty easy. I got my spoiler. I made a template out of tape. You could probably make your own better. Highly recommend using the toothpaste. I went out and bought my own hardware from Home Depot, and I used studs and nuts to install it. And on top of that, I also applied 3M tape to the bottom of the spoiler. And then I didn't use Loctite, but I would probably recommend Loctite to just make sure that it stays on there. And then after the spoiler was installed, there was some gappage, and in order to make sure I had a nice weather seal so water wouldn't get in my trunk, I squeezed silicone that I just got from AutoZone in there, and then I just smoothed it around with my finger, making sure that it was not really super noticeable from the outside. Like you actually had to look really hard to be able to see the silicone in the gap, and it's that easy. If you have like an extra $200, $300 and you want to get it professionally installed, go for it. But if you're looking for a DIY duckbill spoiler, specifically the Type 3 from Flowen Motorsports, this is the only video that I know is on YouTube because I couldn't find any. Hope you liked this video. Hope it was helpful if you're thinking about getting an aftermarket spoiler, things you're looking at, what you're going to have to do to your car. And yeah, see you next time.